Good day, everyone. My name is Angelia Marivi Angeles from BSN1 Johnson. And for today's activity, we are going to be dissecting a pig's kidney and locate its major parts. Through this activity, we are also going to discuss the flow and formation of urine through the different parts of the urinary system. But before we proceed to the activity, let us first wear our surgical gloves and our safety goggles.
Let us first examine the external structure of the kidney. As with the other organs of the body, the kidney also has a tough fibrous covering or layer called the perirenal fat capsule. This protects the kidneys from trauma and damage. Later, when we cut open the kidneys, we will see the other layers. Next, let us locate and identify the parts of the hilum. The hilum is the entry and exit site for structures servicing the kidneys. First, the renal vein. This transports blood to the posterior vena cava from the kidneys. We should always remember that veins carry blood back to the heart. Next, the renal artery. This transports unfiltered blood from the aorta to the kidneys, where the glomerulus filters it. We should always remember that artery carries blood away from the heart. We also have the ureter, which serves as a passageway for the urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. Let us cut the kidneys lengthwise from the side to see the internal structure. Now let us identify the layers or regions of the kidney. First, the renal cortex or simply cortex. This is the outermost region of the kidney. It contains the glomeruli and renal tubule. It is also the site of erythropoietin production. It surrounds the kidney and it is where approximately 1 million nephrons are located. Next is the renal medulla. It is the region located inward from the cortex. The renal pyramids are also located within the renal medulla. The renal pyramids collect and transport the formed urine coming from the renal tubule of the nephrons. We can also see multiple renal pyramids, and these pyramids are separated by renal columns. We can now also see the internal vessels. The renal columns contain middle-sized arteries and veins that carry blood between the nephrons in the cortex and the renal artery and vein. We can also see the white part. This is the calyces, which is divided into two. The minor calyx, which surrounds the renal papillae of each pyramid and collects urine from the pyramid, and the major calyx, where the urine passes before going through renal pelvis and to the ureter. Next, we have the renal pelvis. This collects urine that is produced in the kidney and drains from the collecting ducts, and it leads to the ureter.
Now that we have identified the major parts of the kidneys, let us now go through a detailed discussion of urine formation and its flow. And as I discuss, I will also point out the parts using these illustrations to easily visualize what is happening inside the renal cortex, specifically the nephrons.
The unfiltered blood enters through the renal artery and branch out to the segmental arteries. Then the blood will pass through the renal column through the interlobal arteries to the arcuate arteries, which are located at the base of the renal pyramids, and these will branch to the cortex through the cortical radiate arteries. Then it will enter the glomerulus, which will start the filtration of the blood. Glomerular filtration starts with the afferent arteriole, bringing the blood to the glomerulus with the help of blood pressure. The water and nitrogenous waste, which are filterable, will propel to the glomerulus, and the cells and proteins, which are non-filterable, will be excreted through the efferent arteriole. The next is tubular reabsorption. This occurs in the proximal tubule part of the renal tube. The proximal tubule is composed of simple cuboidal epithelial cells, which helps in increasing the surface area. Therefore, the proximal tube is highly capable of reabsorbing molecules, specifically water, sodium, potassium, chloride, glucose, amino acids, and bicarbonate. We also have the distal tube, which is responsible for regulating the water, hydrogen ion, and electrolyte balance. We also have the loop of Henle, which allows the production of highly concentrated urine as it reabsorbs water and sodium chloride from the filtrate. We also have the cortical collecting tube. This increases the concentration of urea in the fluid and the fractional solute contribution and delivers it to the outer medullary collecting duct. This collecting duct allows the water content of the urine to decrease through the process of osmosis. Take note that we should not have glucose in our urine, otherwise it will indicate diabetes mellitus or damages in the nephron. That is why 100% must be reabsorbed. On the other hand, we have toxic substances that needs to be excreted through urine, which brings us now to the process of tubular secretion. The last phase is the tubular secretion. This is characterized by the elimination of waste and acid-base regulation. This is the process of transferring molecules from peritubular capillaries to the renal tubular lumen. Substances that are secreted includes urea, creatinine, drugs, and toxins.
So to summarize everything, a thick fibrous capsule surrounds each kidney. The kidneys are held against the body trunk wall by a fatty cushion. The medial pelvis, medulla, and the renal cortex of the kidney can be seen in the longitudinal section of the organ. The anatomical and operational units of the kidneys are called nephrons, and each nephron is composed of renal tubule and glomerulus. The glomerular capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, nephron loop, and distal convoluted tubule are the different parts of the renal tubule. So nephron functions include filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. The urine is secreted through the ureters to the urinary bladder and goes to the urethra. The micturition or urination reflex causes the involuntary internal sphincter to open when stretch receptors in the bladder wall are stimulated. The external sphincter is voluntarily controlled, so micturition or urination can be temporarily delayed. So that's it for our discussion or our activity today. Now you know how the blood is filtered, how the urine is formed, and how it flows in the kidneys and through the different parts of the urinary system. Thank you so much and goodbye.